have a lot of stuff to cover today, so definitely start very early. Get it done. Get it done. I think 10 o'clock is what we agreed on. Okay, this, Josie, if you can go ahead and show us, it is 6:30 now. If everybody can, please stand and pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And the goosebumps just reminded me about this weekend and everything that we reflected on. So appreciate the opportunity to be able to get together. Before I get started, I just want to say, Sam, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I know last time I had to be out of town, so I appreciate all the help and everything you take care of me, just taking care of what we have in front of us. So appreciate that. Okay, let's go ahead and press on. Do we have any visitors, any citizens' comments? Anybody would like to pass on anything to the council? Okay. All right, let's go ahead and move forward. Let's go ahead and move to item number 4, consent agenda. Council, if you can please review the approval of the minutes. Can we take a look at that? Josie, on the 9th of August, page number 2. Second one from the bottom of the community code and the website updates. Can we go ahead and add a statement on there?
Let me get there.
Okay. You found it?
Mhm.
Okay, we had a statement on there where we're 2 years behind and we need to update the codes. Whatever terms you want to use in there.
What did it say? What do you want me to add?
Include a statement that says that the ordinance haven't been updated for 2 years. And then the mayor's comments on the 23rd of August, which Sam covered for me. I think it's page 4. Number 9, excuse me, where it says school is not in session. I think it's school is now in session.
That's a typo.
Yeah, so we can change that.
I looked it out, not in session, now.
So, I think we're giving everybody a heads up about what's going on. Thank you.
Make a motion that we put the.
Okay, we got a motion for us to accept the minutes. Got a second? Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you so much, appreciate that. Okay, D, consider approval of the city attorney's monthly bill. Let's take a look at that.
Yeah, it's the pages in that one.
It's got 45.
Make a motion, we accept the city attorney's bill as presented.
Second.
We got a second? Any discussion on that? Tom, since we have Charles, you're gonna stay on this? Yes. So we should be okay with just them two, right?
What you need, you just have the minimum amount of quorum, it's just a majority of quorum. So 2 out of 3.
Roger. Okay, there's no other further discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Abstain. Appreciate it. Thank you. Okay. Very good, consider approval of payment of bills. Let's go ahead and take a look at that.
Joseph, would you happen to know, on this, 4C page 1 of 2, Troy Martin submitted an invoice for 2,200, do you know what that was?
That was building inspections,
Inspections?
building inspections. And the fuel man is gasoline.
Sorry?
The fuel man is gasoline.
Oh, okay.
Mayor, I move that, we approve payment of bills.
A motion,
Second.
and a second, in discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Opposed? Okay, there you go, Josie. Thank you so much, appreciate that. All right, doing good, doing good. Okay, number 5, action items. The first one, A, that we have is consider and act upon the request for extension on building permit due to COVID. Josie?
They, Mr. Wallace here, they have a place up on Main Street, right up here, that they got a permit last September. And, they didn't get it completed, and they're saying that it was because of COVID. So she's wanting to see if she can get it extended, like Catholic Church did that several months ago.
How much an extension are we at?
Well, I didn't talk to her,
Oh,
so.
okay.
Well, I want to say maybe 6 months, it would be good for us. We're gonna start, 2 weeks.
So you're asking, when is the 6 months effective, right now, Josie, or when did the other one expire?
The other one would have expired in March,
Okay.
because you got it in September of last year. So 6 months from that would have been March.
If, usually we can finish in 6 months, but if it's possible, I can get it more than, I don't know, the first time that I don't know how hard.
Josie,
It doesn't mean that I'm gonna need more, but it's just.
6 months is what we usually do. That's what the original permit was for.
Because in this case, like with COVID, we can control too much things, people that need to come to work for that reason they can't. On our community, we used to run the members, the manager, from the city.
So that's what we trying to get started on this.
In 2 weeks.
In 2 weeks.
How do we handle it? We don't put it between March and now.
Nothing, no way. It's, the church is the same way. They let time pass, and that Mr., I don't even remember what his name was, up on Live Oak. That was the same way with him. It just didn't get done, so now that they're ready to start up again, is when they come and ask.
Mayor, I move that we grant Mrs. Zavala an extension for 6 months until March 18th, 2022.
have a motion for us to go ahead? Okay, second? Any further discussion on that? Okay. All those in favor? Okay. Opposed? There you go, so March.
Thank you.
They need to come into the office and get that done again.
Okay, so,
Please work very closely with the city hall, okay, make sure you take care of that. And Skip,
You'll need to come in and put the office and get all the,
then you want, oh, yeah, okay, well, thank you very much.
yes ma'am, have a good evening.
You have to stay here forever.
Okay, B, consider an act upon the contract renewal with Frontier Concepts. Come on up, John.
We submitted our revised contract for the changes that the city attorney recommended. We had no issue removing the items he asked to remove with regard to liability. And I think we came to terms fairly quickly. Those are the final revisions that Josie and Tom have, so.
I didn't. So,
And then John's absolutely correct. They made all the changes. We kind of briefly talked about this last time, if you recall that. And so they made all the changes, and so I'd recommend to the council that we approve the contract as presented tonight.
I'll make a motion to accept the contract.
Okay. Motion, second, discussion. Okay. All those in favor? Any opposed? Okay, there you go. Thank you, Tom, thanks, appreciate it. Tom, if possible, when we get done, if we can get copies of that, that'd be great. That'd be great, appreciate that. Okay, C, consider and act upon appointing a broadband point of contact for the city. I know that was a discussion last time in the last meeting. Do we have any updates on that, or?
Mr. Tate had said that he had talked to you about it, and that you had agreed to do it.
We did, we had a brief discussion about it. I think it does fall under our umbrella. I don't have any issue, being a resource for the city. I think we do that for several entities now, just because we have the relationships with whatever the various providers and ISPs are. So we have no problem providing that same service, and I think that service would also be covered in the same maintenance contract allows for us to provide adjunct services at a contracted billable rate, which is what we've been doing for the last 3 years. So it would just be a continuation of that, and I think maybe expanding some of the services we could provide to the city. You'd be asking us in the same way to provide advisory services, and we would just kind of put them under the same umbrella. We have no issue being available when we need to be available for whatever those expanding services may be.
And that hourly rate is 125, and I think that's the same rate that you guys have. 125.
It is the same rate from previous days. We have no plans to adjust that rate.
So, and the advisory capability, would you be able to also, so say for instance, we get an opportunity to apply, to be able to get some money based on availability. Is that something that you would be able to assist us with as part of that?
It is. I think what we've done in the past is, let's say we'll look at diagrams of particular areas, maps of particular areas, satellite views of particular areas, with regard to what coverage would be available in those areas and what our recommendation would be for a certain group or size of people or neighborhoods or facilities. And I think that's what this would fall under. So he would have no issue being an additional resource to answer those questions.
All right. Doesn't, anything for that one? Okay. We have a motion.
I move that we appoint Frontier Concepts as our broadband point of contact for the city manager.
Okay, thank you. Have a motion in place. Got a second? Any further discussion on that?
Nope.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Appreciate it, John. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Okay. Let me write down some notes here real quick before we move on. Alright. Okay, D, update on AT&T phone and internet service. Little deja vu, right? Little deja vu, but Tceq. Where we at, John? What's going on so the council's aware?
So right now we've got the primary locations with the largest connectivity or cutover. Main, City Hall's cutover. We're still, on Friday we completed the biggest issue with PD, and that was getting both circuits tested fully. We still have, we're moved over now to AT&T. We have to cut over, which is a different issue, right? We have to change PD over to the primary new internet circuit. So we still have some dialogue to go back and forth with members of PD to make sure that we're not excluding any of those services. So the service is there, it's up and running. Before we move everyone over, we want to make sure that all the websites they can get to are allowed access through the new connection. So the connection is up and going. All we're doing now is testing particular services and websites to make sure those are functioning before we move them over to actually use it every day. And the other connections for the other locations, animal control, library, and public works are covered. So I'm gonna ask Justin to come and join us for any specifics. If you have questions beyond that, but that's the culture. So right now, the only one we're held up on is PD.
So Mayor, I talked to Chris today and we don't have any issues. Everything we connect to, I can connect to from anywhere in the world. So it's not anything special that we're using.
And for us, it's just once we do that, we'll probably do like an initial test. We'll move it over, we'll test all services. If everything's good, we'll leave it there. If anything breaks, move it back. But that'll be a day by day. It won't be a 2-week or 30-day. Like we'll be testing this daily. And so we should have them moved over, I would imagine, within the next 7 days. And we'll be done with that.
And that's a critical portion, but for the council's information, just so you know that once we do that, then we still need to go ahead and go back and iron out the equipment and the billing and all that stuff that goes along with that.
That's true.
So, I know Josie and I took us,
A long time.
yeah, it was months, and we
A long
had to
time.
get credits. So, right now, we got a bill that is outstanding, is that correct, Edward?
It's outstanding. I spoke to John last week and we're only gonna, they started billing us initially in March. And we understand we're gonna be paying a couple of months concurrently, so we will only pay August and September for dual services. So anything they billed us prior to August, we are not going to pay.
Yeah, those are the rebates that we actually dealt with before, so there's gonna be, you're gonna see some bills that are come through because we're gonna have to pay for that overlay between the old router that we were using and the new router that goes along with that. And that's gonna happen during that time, so you'll see a little bit, and then it's gonna take some months for us to actually get the credit back as part of the rebates, to be able to do that. Did we ever get the answer of whether or not we need to return the routers before they can actually start?
We're still waiting for AT&T to tell me.
We're still waiting for that.
So that's crucial because last time they kept charging us until they got, so we need to figure that out based on the old equipment and stuff.
And when they do give us the answer, we'll be the ones shipping the equipment back. We'll pack it up and ship it back.
So that was my question, because we got double everything inside the police department now. And where I once had room for some of our extra equipment, I don't have room for anymore. But I haven't received a clear answer from anyone on who's gonna take down the old stuff when we do the switch over, so I can move like our NAS back to where it sits, so I can watch it. Nobody's gonna be able to answer that for me.
We'll definitely remove those from the rack and ship them back.
Okay, because I wanna make sure
So
I don't wanna
can
plug it real
So
quick.
once we're ironed out and we are, I mean, pretty much, but, so the rest of the rest of the offices that are already cut over, can we go back and remove the old equipment, or have you guys already done that?
We haven't done it yet. I'd like to get the answer that says, yes, we want the equipment back or no. And then regardless of what their answer is, that'll be the date for when we decide to take everything
Can you
down.
do me a favor?
Sure.
Can you get them offline, unplug them
Sure, at the old locations?
at the old?
Yes.
Stop them from blinking, because that's still talking to them. So just disconnect them, leave them on the rack, but at least they'll notice on the other end that they're no longer operational. Because that's one of the things, that's how they identified the new ones. As soon as they plugged them in, they said, oh, they're online. So, but that's how AT&T works, unfortunately. But if we can disconnect the old ones. That way, they're not talking to back to the mothership,
I'll have that scheduled
okay?
for those three. And then I did speak to the actual project management group, and that's NESPARK. I did speak to them today with regard to those credits. And they did file, or they did begin their dispute at the beginning of the first circuit install.
Good.
So that dispute is open, and we did meet the deadline for when the services should have been cut over, which was 1st of September. So all services were moved off of or onto the new circuit by then and accepted by the city before 9/1. So that dispute should meet all the guidelines necessary for them to figure out whatever credits are going to be involved. I don't know what that figure is. That'll be up to AT&T obviously, but the mechanism is there for the dispute to continue.
Council, anything else? We need, John, do you need anything else from us?
Right on.
Okay, we appreciate it. I know these projects are never easy, so we really appreciate your assistance. Everything goes along with that. Okay, Since it was just an update, we'll go ahead and move on to the next one. E, update on the community center communications contract.
I'm still reviewing the material that you got, comms that you sent to us. So, and just a little background information on that. They sent us what appeared to be a very simple contract, and then they found, right above signature, they said, if you sign this contract, then you're going to do all these other terms that we have here, 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 and here. So that's been a little bit.
Are you still reviewing that? When do you think you'll have that ready for us?
Next council meeting.
Next council meeting.
Did you find any potential showstoppers, this and that and that and that?
I think that, the only thing that really bothers me in all of these is the identification. They want us to identify them. All these, whoever we deal with, they try to, where's John?
He left.
So that's the biggest problem that I have. We can't do it.
Right.
And then it just comes down to, I think that we've already agreed upon the money, so I think that we're gonna be good as far as we
So
trim that
you
out.
bring that up and then just roll over?
I don't know. I don't know. Now, I think that the mayor's talked with, whoever the guy is that comes in. John talked with.
Yeah, the CEO for comms.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're using Frontera to help us out with this.
Good.
So,
So we'll have it ready for you guys, either yes or no, by next week.
okay. Awesome. All right. F, consider and act upon the service agreement with Prologic,
Logic.
Logic, huh? Okay. I think I might have, oh, that's how it's spelled.
Prologic.
Prologic. Interesting. Okay, for court integration. So, Josie?
I've had Tom look it over.
Yeah, and I didn't find anything wrong with that, my question on that was that part of the original contract that we had with Maps. It's all tied in together.
So this is the company that bought out Tceq when they sold.
Right. And, I didn't know a lot of the background information on this, where the cops seen, Richie was telling me, they filed for bankruptcy, this company bought them out. And so they contacted Edward, and they were.
Well, actually, they contacted the court, and she sent it to me, and I sent it to her.
So basically, Tom, our original contract with CopSync, the court integration, we had a different reporting system before Encode. What was that, ma'am? Do you remember?
What was?
Before Encode, what was it called? The court, it was a court.
Was it Hill Country?
Hill
Yes,
Country.
yes. So whenever,
Can I stop you?
Yeah.
Maybe you explain to what this is all about. These
So,
guys may not know
all
what
it
it's
is, CopSync is a provider we use that enables officers to retrieve license numbers and wanted checks off people in their vehicles. It's our mobile based. It also allows us to write tickets electronically. So if an officer issues a citation, time we push send or whatever, you close the ticket. Well, the court lady can upload it automatically. So that's what it does. So this probably was triggered when the city years ago went to Encode. Then we had to pay a little fee to get it redone. And maybe that's when this started, because when they showed me, I've never seen anything about the court before. We pay an annual fee for the service based on number of users, but the court deal is separate.
And I think, Edward, what is it, $1,000 a year, is that what it is?
1,200. But they said we already paid it.
Yeah, we're not past due.
We're not
Yeah,
past
no,
due.
we're not past due. So they contacted the court, and the court contacted Edward, and then Edward got that all squared away. And they said they were having a little county problem, and they wanted us to sign this new agreement that allowed, I think of it as a module, the court module. They plug it into the software, and it allows that transmission of the citation that Rich is talking about. And it just makes us a little bit more efficient. Now, I don't know, this is kind of part of it, we could charge, I don't know if we are charging a technology fee for our cases. Are we doing that?
Yeah, well, we are, yeah.
So we, everybody who comes to court part of their court cost is technology.
Couple dollars.
Yeah, a couple of dollars, that's exactly right. And then, you know, that adds up after.
Oh, yes, sir.
Yeah, so I don't know what we have in the fund, in the technology fund. That's, you know, that's to be used only for technology, so I think that we're going to be okay as far as this $1,200. And in terms of contract, I don't have a problem.
Mayor, I move that, we authorize you to sign the updated, service agreement with CoLogic for court immigration.
I'll say.
Second, any further discussion? Okay. All those in favor? Any opposed? Okay, see you again, Joseph.
Let's get in touch.
Motion coming back.
Yep, thank you, appreciate it. Okay, G, consider and act upon, John McQueen, plat relay. Rakowitz Engineering, here we go.
My name is Lucas Jordan with Marcos Engineering. We have our client, John McQueen. We are presenting the replat of the McQueen subdivision. This is a 3-lot plat along Richmond Road for single-family residential homes. The remaining portion of the property will be retained as a large estate tract by them.
Now, y'all submitted the replat, this one,
Yes,
back in August.
yes, the original.
Because originally they were gonna be doing 5 lots along Kippen Road.
Yes, and then we found out that it was an actual one.
Right. And you have a letter from Jeff in your packet.
Of course, this has to go through P and Z first.
Yeah, but they insisted that this be on the agenda.
Okay, well, you know, the procedure is, I mean, they present it here, but all you guys can say is, well, we're going to send it to P and Z, and then you can come back after P and Z is reviewed. Because we do have a planning and zoning commission, and that's where the planning, it goes. So,
So this hasn't gone through that yet?
No,
No?
that's it, Mayor, I mean, you guys, you know, you're getting out of whack here, you need to send it to planning and zoning, and that's it for this issue.
So you need a motion to
Mayor, I
that?
move that we send, this matter to the planning and zoning commission for, make a decision on it.
Got a second on that? Any further discussion? Okay. All those in favor?
I'm trying to get that scheduled.
Yes, ma'am. We'll go ahead and route it through so we can go ahead and take care of that stuff. That's part of our procedure.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate it. Do we have one already scheduled for that, Joseph?
Not for that one.
Okay.
I'll have to set that up.
Thank you. All right, here we go. H, consider an act upon denying Vista Bella plat until engineer completes review. Josie?
I put that on there after discussion with Mr. Tate. Originally, the one that just got done was gonna call for the 30-day rule about that we had not approved it, even though they knew that our engineer was reviewing it. But once we told them about the Tiffin Road being a canal road and not a city street, that's when they did a replat on August 23rd, so that we were okay with the 30 days now. But they've changed that up. In talking with Mr. Tate when that came up originally, from now on, I asked y'all to accept a proposal from Jeff. At the same time, I'm gonna ask that you deny that plat until it's been reviewed and approved by the P and Z and the council. So, to try to avoid that 30-day rule, that's a law that happened a few years ago. But because because of the replat on this one, we were okay, but, in the future, still, we can avoid going through that. Whenever we get a proposal from Jeff, I'm gonna ask y'all to deny that. And at the last meeting, I had y'all approve, his proposal for this develop. So tonight, I'm asking y'all that y'all deny the approval of that plat until the engineer has a chance to review it, just to avoid this 30-day thing.
And it hasn't gone to P and Z yet?
No.
This developer has not?
Well, the council just approved it a couple weeks ago. So, and Jeff hasn't really had a chance to review it, or
They approved Jeff's?
at the last meeting, they approved Jeff's proposal.
Okay.
So he hasn't gotten anything back to me on what he's finding on it. As soon as he does, then I'll set up P and Z.
I would recommend that you send him an email, call him tomorrow, tell him, ask him for whatever things he sees wrong with the flat right now, and then include that in the vote.
Okay. Yeah.
So we need to put this one in front of the planning and zoning commission. Right?
Yes, this one too, just like, I mean, that, all these flats need to go before planning and zoning first.
Okay.
So,
But for now, it's just to deny the plat until the engineer has a chance to review
Jeff
it.
knows about this, he's okay with it. I'll make that motion that we deny that this developed plat until the engineer completes it.
Okay.
I'll second it.
you got a second?
I've got a question for the council. Does everyone understand what this is talking about? When according to subdivision law, when someone comes in here, just like this young lady did tonight, and they present flat, and then we've got to send it to planning and zoning. Planning and zoning has 30 days to review it. And then once they reviewed it, well, then they send it to the council. And then the council has 30 days to review it. Well, if planning and zoning, if they do not complete their review in 30 days, then it automatically comes to the council. And then the council has 30 days to act on it. But a lot of this is contingent upon our engineers looking at this. And I know, they'd asked us, this McQueen plat, if they'd worked with us on this, we could have told them to took the road, not a public road. There was a canal road. And that would, apparently it makes a big difference to them because they submitted a replat.
Yeah, they did. They did a replat.
So, and again, last week, we had the guys from, Dawson here, last meeting, if you remember that. And those guys have been so good to work with. They don't threaten us with a 30-day shot clock. They just say, look, this is the problem that we have. Let's work together, let's resolve it. And, but you're gonna run into some people like this who are going to say, okay, you got 30 days, you passed 30 days, now it's approved by law. And you don't, the way that the city of Lyman is going, you don't want that to happen. So we need to expedite, we need to come up with some type of a way to get Jeff to give us a price on, so many lots, this is what we're gonna charge you. That way we'll know, and that way we can get it home. So that was a little bottleneck there. Do you agree with me?
Yeah, that was it became a bottleneck because if you remember, about the time they got the plat to me, we were gonna have a impact fee advisory board meeting, and Jeff was gonna pick that up at that time. And then they canceled it because of all the rain.
Right.
So because of that got moved back a little bit. But if it wouldn't have been for that Tippin Road thing that came up, they probably would have, they were gonna ask for that 30-day rule to be enforced.
So question on the actions. We're gonna do this one here, but I just wanna, I don't wanna change this one, but for other ones, do we have, instead of saying we're gonna send it and we're gonna deny it, can we just, the council in the future, approve it based on conditions that it goes through the planning zoning commission? In other words, it's very specific that, hey, it needs to go through them. And we've done it before. We agreed to approve something and we say, hey, let's hope.
But that's not what these people are.
No, and I don't wanna change that, Tom. I'm just,
So the answer to your question is no, don't conditionally approve it. I mean, if something comes in here, do not conditionally approve it. Let it go through planning and zoning first. Let them make the report to the council, and then let the council decide. Because you may have planning and zoning come in with conditional approval.
So every time that Josie puts something in where we're gonna approve for TRC's
Well, that's what I'm saying,
review,
if it's gonna
we're gonna
take
need to
Jeff
put,
a while
deny.
before he can get it. If it's gonna take Jeff a while to get us a proposal so that he can send to the P and Z, then my idea was go ahead and have him approve the proposal for Jeff, but to deny the,
I understand that.
approval of the,
We're talking about, we're talking about future,
Well, that's-
and my recommendation about the future was, we need to get Jeff's firm to tell us, somebody comes in here with a plat for 10 lots, it's gonna cost you this much.
he's never done that, it's just that he
But he
looks
needs
at
to
the
be-
plat and then determines the price.
Well, we need to make him, and you talked to him, and he was talking about that 30 days, right? And he's aware of that, and I don't know what his response to you was, what was his response to you?
He didn't have the response, he just said we didn't get it done.
That's not,
And if it
that's
wouldn't
not
have
gonna
been-
work for us.
Well, and like I said, we had that deal where he was supposed to have been here that May,
Oh, I understand that, that's
and
why.
he didn't pick it up then, so.
so we'll talk
But
to
it
him
didn't
about
happen
the
too
process.
late after that, because it was on the June agenda, the first meeting in June.
Okay, so, all right, so we'll use this as an example of what I'm talking about. They submitted their plat on May the 19th. He didn't give us what was it, June 14th, is that when it came before? the
No,
council?
he sent a proposal on June the 9th, and it was approved on the June 14th meeting.
Okay, that's, yeah, so I mean, you know, or you can, that's another thing you can do, you can give the city secretary the authority to approve the proposal, and that's gonna save us a couple of days.
Well,
All
I'll
I'm
be
telling
honest
you-
with you,
All I'm telling you is, that we're gonna get the jam, and we're gonna get jammed up pretty bad if we don't pay attention to what we're doing,
Well,
if we can't expedite the way we're doing it. So
That's why I was-
that's it.
saying deny it until the engineer reviews it.
Appreciate the feedback. At least we have an idea. We're gonna need to look at that, but we'll look at that at a different time.
Now,
And so we have a motion already.
okay, I'll be honest with you. We don't pay this anyway. We pay this to the engineer, but they turn around and repay us for that before we sign the plat. So I don't know how council.
So I understand. So this is based on just the process within itself. So got a motion, got a second for us to go ahead and deny it. Okay, all those in favor? Any opposed? All right, thank you. Thanks, Tom, for the info.
You're welcome.
All right. Here we go. All right, consider and act upon the interlocal agreement with Medina County. Tom, I think this one just came in on
Friday afternoon.
Friday.
I haven't reviewed it,
Okay.
and I was just curious as, did they retype it for us?
Mhm.
Do we have a point of contact over there? Do we know who's doing this?
It was Jennifer, right? Jennifer sent you an email, so Josie got the email.
Okay, so, do we have a lawyer doing this, or Jennifer agreed to this, or the county judge agreed to this?
The county judge is the one who actually agreed. He's the one who reviewed your comments.
Okay, all right,
So,
and again, on this, we're going, this is just a broad general agreement. If we get into a specific project that we have in Medina County, we're probably gonna have to enter into another agreement. So, but I will look at this, and this will be ready for next meeting also.
can I get a motion for us to go ahead and table this?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to table until the attorney is transferred.
I'll second that. Okay, any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Okay, thank you. Okay. Jay, consider an act upon interlocal agreement with Atastosa.
Well, I reviewed this, and I've got, several comments again on this one. I don't like this, agreement at all, and we just need to make some corrections and put it, back to the county. I know in the, cover email that the commissioner had, they said it's easily changeable. So, I just have to, rework this whole thing, there's a lot of things in here that I don't like. You know, it says Wiley is currently providing public firefighting and fire protection services. We are not. This is all to the fire department. And other related, and other limited related emergency response services. At one time, we did have a interlocal agreement with the sheriff's department. I don't know if we still do or not.
I'm not aware, I've never seen anything like that, but I mean, it's obviously, it's occurring,
Yeah, I know, I understand that.
but I've never seen them.
And I'm always leery when they talk about donations. The purpose of this bill is to provide for the donation of labor materials. For the use of light, this is on purpose, for the use of lighting to create improvement or repair existing improvements for lighting. I'm not aware of any improvements that we're going to create or repair. You know, this is language, I think, again, they took another agreement, and they plugged our name in there, so.
We got this from the commissioner's court. I'm sorry, from the commissioner.
That's
Apologize.
correct. Yeah.
He's the one who actually sent it to us.
And he said it was easily changed, so I think we need to change a bunch of stuff. I'm glad to come up with something. You know, if the one that we do in Medina County, if that would be acceptable to Coast County, we'd do the same. That'd be simple.
Big tweet.
Or we just substitute, you know, the Medina County for what they said. I'm good with that. Now that Medina County, you know, if they accepted our changes, that'd be great.
So,
But this is not, you know, and then again, by law, you have to say what authority, and Medina County does, it says chapter 791, the Texas Government Code. I don't think it says that anywhere in here. In a local agreement, I mean, there's just certain things that you have to have. There's certain standard basic things you have to have in an agreement, and they don't. So that's, I'm just pointing these things out.
can we shoot for 30 days? You think that's reasonable?
Well-
Go ahead and do the,
Well, that, you know, what I think is that I reviewed the Lee County, which that they've doctored up and retyped and sent back to us. And if it's okay, we just get a hold of Jennifer, ask her to send me the work product, and we'll change
I
it.
think it was a word product.
Yeah,
She already has a word product.
that's great. So we can do that. Best form of flattery is stealing. Yeah.
I'm just saying for timetable, we can get it done.
Oh, yeah, I told the council that we can get this one done by the next meeting, how we do it. And we'll have one to shoot to Atascosa County at the same time.
So you need to finalize everything with Medina before we make that.
Okay, David, apparently they accepted all the changes.
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah.
But I just I hate to, you know, I didn't have a chance to look at it.
Yeah.
But I didn't, let me be honest, I didn't look at it hard, there's a bunch of typos in there.
Okay, you just cleaned it up. Okay. Well, we need a motion on this, right?
We need a motion for us to,
Table. So I make a motion to table this for 1 month, till the first meeting in August, to then act upon the local agreement.
First meeting in October.
Did I say it?
You said August.
Well,
Let's not go back to August.
I was there, October, they can change the suggestion.
I got a motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, got a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Okay, there we go. Thank you. All right. Okay, update on small business grants.
Yes, if you remember, we received $20,000 to distribute in a manner of our choosing to local businesses that have been negatively impacted by COVID. Whose businesses had hurt in some way, they lost employees, had to close down, had fewer customers, whatever. So a committee was put together to make an application. This was way before I came in. It was handed over to me. We tweaked the application a bit, working with this committee. Basically, Mark Lovelace from the Chamber of Commerce, and and I think it was the vice president of the chamber at the time, Simon. And the council approved the application. We sent it out to, or we advertised it that we had it. Mark promoted it very heavily several times, and I know Josie put notice in the paper. How many times, Josie? 3, 4?
2, for sure.
Only 2, okay. I think we got pretty good advertisement distribution on what we were trying to do. Unfortunately, only 6 businesses applied. And further, unfortunately, only 3 businesses qualified for any of the grant money, because one of the stipulations was that you were in business back when the pandemic started. This would have been March of 2020. And you had to show how many employees you had, how many you lost, what your average business was, things like that. And 3 of the people who applied had not been in business long enough to qualify for this. And it wasn't a big problem. I mean, it didn't upset me that they applied. Mark got to the point of frustration, as did I, that so few people submitted applications to this. He was telling people in the chamber, please, just fill out an application, send it in, and let's just see what happens. And unfortunately for them, we had pretty strict requirements in the application that the council approved, and so we had to deny them. So the 3 that applied and did not meet the requirements, not just the time limit, but several other requirements. Hello, small Chaco, next to the Topus that's moved down here. I talked to him, he said, hey, I didn't expect to get it, but I thought give it a shot. Mojo Man, he has a food truck, I think, and lives a little bit out in the country, and again, he came way off the requirements. Vic's Casina, she was running this out of her house, just a single person deal. And then just 2 months ago, she opened a location up by the basketball court of the park. And she didn't need the time permit either, so we weren't able to give her any money. But we had 3 that applied who did meet the requirements. VSC Insurance, Topus Mexican Restaurant, and Naomi's Diner. We had spelled out on the front page of the application how much you could get, and it was based on how many employees you had. And at the beginning of the pandemic, and how many you lost and whatnot. So VSC Insurance, because of the low number of employees they only qualified for the lower amount of grant money, and we gave them the maximum amount we could in that lower category, which was $750. Topus Mexican Restaurant, again, was the same. They only had like 3 or 4 full-time employees, and I think they went down to 3 for a while and then back up to 4. So they certainly qualified, but for the lower amount, again, we gave them the maximum amount of the lower category, which was $750. And then Naomi's, she does have more employees there, and she just squeaked under the line for the higher payment based on number of employees. And so Naomi's got a check for $1,200. And that's that on the initial program to distribute today. I know there's another item.
Do you need anything else on that from us before we move on?
Not on this, it's just informative. Yeah, because we were a committee, the council had approved us to distribute the money. And so I worked with the committee that we established in the chamber, and that's what we did.
Thank you,
Okay.
appreciate that. Okay, moving on to L, consider and act upon leftover CRF funds for small businesses.
Okay, so the breakdown, in case you didn't do the math in your head, we had $20,000, we gave out $2,700, we have $17,300 left. And so the question that I'm posing to the council here is, what do you want to do with that money? There are various options. We could put it in a well fund. but that's not what it was intended for. And personally, I'd rather not do that. This money was intended for business people in Lytle. So I would like to see it going to business owners, business operators in Lytle in some fashion. I talked to Josie to ask a question. Here's an idea I'm just going to throw out for consideration. Josie told me that we can, from various records that we have in the city, determine what businesses were open in March of 2020 who are still open today, that struggled through COVID and had made it to this point. I know there were some businesses that closed. I'm not sure giving them money right now would do anything other than make them feel good, maybe, but they might have moved on and opened up a business. So one idea, and it's just an idea, we can find all the businesses that were open in March 2020 who struggled through and made it, or who are still open today, and get that number, whatever that number is, maybe 30 and 40, 50, I don't know what it is, and divide 17,300 by that number of businesses and write them a check. And they can apply it any way they want. They can give the workers who made it through COVID a bonus, they can pay a bill, they can do whatever they want. But it's up to the council. I'm just throwing that out there.
David, this would be, are you still using, just like you looked on the other ones, you're looking at the small business, non-franchise?
Yes, it should be non-franchise, non-chain related. We're not giving money to H-E-B or Church's Chicken or anybody like that. These should be local, mom and pop, locally owned, small number of employee businesses. I think right away of, we have Buzz's Barbershop up here. I don't know how he was impacted. We still get haircuts, but maybe people didn't go in and get haircuts as frequently because of COVID. And, was your hair?
Well, he was actually shut down by the state for a number of times. I'm gonna throw something out there, and it's none of my business. That sounds like a great idea, but another option too is you take that money into a marketing campaign, to drive more business into town, advertising campaign for, pushing our small business, promoting our small businesses, I mean, that's a pretty good chunk of change, and you might have a bigger impact. Because I'll be honest, a small business owner, if I've made it this far, a few $100 is probably.
That's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
$150 to $500.
Yeah, because we figure we have about 130 businesses. Yeah, so just say I say you probably got about 60 or 70 that would qualify as small business, I guess. I'd have to look at the list, but
So you're talking pocket change really is what.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't know if with that amount of money, what you could do, marketing, something you could really, maybe sponsor events that would drive people downtown, drive people to small businesses. I don't know. I just kind of came to my head when.
Yeah, well, that's gonna be, not to change the topic, but that one is something for research also with our hot money, our hotel money too. We gotta figure out, see what are some of the other options that are available there too. We haven't tackled that one too, so there might be some flexibility also to include that, but.
Yeah, and this is a rather interesting problem that we have, and I really don't expect the council to make a move on it tonight, because, your idea is a good idea. We divide the money up by 60, but then, how much is that? $100 a piece. So it's,
Council, do you want David to go ahead and get the list and take a look at a little bit more research and come up with something?
I mean, I don't think that we're through this pandemic quite yet, so there's probably gonna be some businesses that are gonna be struggling here still moving forward. So if we go and just give it out to folks who don't need it, it's not gonna do them a lot of good, but for those businesses that, hey, $500,000, what was the max that we gave the nominees?
yeah, well,
It's like,
Well-
that might go a lot further for one business as opposed to $300, because, I mean, just on, speaking from a personal level, I go down to H-E-B and spend $300, for 3 people in my house, so I don't really know what it's gonna do. Like Chief was saying, hey, maybe some sort of marketing campaign. I think in the interim, that we can set the money, can we put it in a high interest account, Josie? And-
Is there such a thing as that?
Yeah.
Well, we can put it in an interest bearing account, I don't know about the high
Yeah.
interest.
Well, relatively speaking,
The highest will be if we put it in a CD.
Well, I mean, until we can come back and make a determination.
Well, I like your idea. We would need to announce that, make it known that there are funds available to help struggling businesses severely impacted by COVID. And then talk to somebody, we have to appoint somebody as a point of contact there, and then the council would decide, do they need, and should we give them the money and how much we should give them until the 17,300 runs out? Because I agree, COVID's still here and it may keep somebody from closing up.
do we need to relook at the eligibility list? Make an adjustment on that, and see if put it out again?
Well, no, I don't think there's time limit on the money, right? They gave us the money to help our businesses, so, I don't think we need to make an application just like we did for these grants, but if we could make it on an as-needed basis, because, some business like Naomi, they say, look, I'm basically opening it. I really don't need to apply for any emergency money. And, but there may be another business that $1,200 might make the difference. They can pay their bills for another month and then get past the hump. So that's an idea, certainly an idea. It might be more effective that way, Charles. I just don't know how to take it.
You guys want to go ahead and table this and give him a chance to kind of look at it a little bit further and come back to us?
Yeah, I can talk to Mark Lovelace. He's been out of town for a couple of weeks. He's back on before.
Take yeah. Do that and come back at the next meeting. Do another update.
You want to make a motion?
Oh, okay, I'll make that motion. Give them a couple of weeks. I guess in the next, do an update.
Yeah. I can do an update if we don't have anything solid. I'll let you know we're still working on it.
Okay, we can go ahead and table the item.
I'll second.
Okay, any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. And just let us know then, sure, before the next meeting, if we need a little bit more time. All right, okay. M, consider an act upon hiring employee for permits, tax, and utility clerk position. Josie,
Well, we went out for apps, and they get 6, and, they narrowed it down to 2. And, then the number 1 person that I chose, let me know that she had gotten hired at the school in Divine, so she no longer wanted the position here. In the meanwhile, Paula from over at the police station, who used to work in my office years ago, asked if she could be transferred back here to fill that position. And, Paula's a good worker, she's a quick learner. I'd love to hear her back.
Richard,
Yeah, I mean, she's a good worker,
no, in a sense, she's coming from your apartment, so.
sir.
Yeah, coming from your apartment, no concerns, no issues.
No, what we would do, I mean, if you're gonna ask me, what we would do based on her salary being what it is now, just a few thousand less than an officer, we'd wait a few months and we'd replace her with a sworn position. And then we could move our own people around in there. We hired her as a receptionist, and then administrative person, we were over here in the other side. And things were a lot different then. We had a lot of walk-in traffic, we had a lot going on, and we don't have that where we moved. So a lot of the reception part is pretty much almost non-existent. I was only have one person a day, sometimes nobody comes to PD. So, if that would occur, we could add that other officer, and that would put us, where we should be, so we're not gonna be under the gun as all this stuff's coming in. And I've got people I can move around. Again, you'd have no impact on the budget, none on this year's budget at all. Because that person wouldn't be hired until she'd been gone a couple of months, at the soonest. So it really would be a win-win. Paul's a great employee. She's, she's good to stay, good to go, good, we support people in doing whatever, they want to do, what's going on there. And, that's my comment.
I agree with that. You already work. You're familiar with the job. I would do that.
Certainly, City Hall needs that spot filled. And everything I've heard about Paola is, why not? So I make a motion that we hire Paola, not hire and transfer
Allow her to
laterally from the police department into the clerk position, according to rules and regulations.
I'll second that.
Yeah, second, okay, any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, there we go, Joseph.
Thank you.
And consider an act upon employment status of part-time officer, Johnny Lopez. Rich.
So all we're doing here is trying to get a head start because this is for that position that was approved in the budget. And we do a 28-day work period, so our actual 28-day cycle starts October 6th or 7th, something like that. And so really we're just trying to get this so we're not in the middle of October trying to hire him. And plus, the sooner we get these people in here, they're in limbo. There's a lot of people hiring. Tons of places hiring, and the sooner we can get this guy, make sure, hey, it's concrete. And he asked me, is everything still on? They hear these, they read the paper in these other cities. They see about positions getting cut and budget problems. I said, no, we're going to try to get this. I don't want to lose him. So anyway, this is just all of this is just a plain wording. 1880. That's been our starting salary for a few years. That's where we're starting him at. The start day. It's a standard. He's already been through all the drug screen, polygraphs, and all that stuff because he's already working towards part-time. So that's really, I can't think of anything that special would be there.
Mayor, I move that we transfer John Eric Cortez from his part-time police officer position to a full-time probationary police officer.
I'll second that.
Got a second? Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you.
There you go. There we go. Oh, consider an act upon streets for street improvement project.
Thank you, Mayor. I passed out a little packet based off what James had handed out to us the last meeting. That first line, it's not East Street, it's Easy Street. There's a little typo there.
Easy?
Yes, sir, Easy Street. And that's everything. James, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's everything, I guess, south of Cottage going down to Adams is what you're proposing for Easy Street.
But isn't that the one that we're gonna have that drainage?
Yeah, that was my question.
Yeah.
That's the last one.
That's the pending
Right.
drainage project is down that way. And I have my, there's little maps attached as well, kind of give you an idea of where those streets are in the city. And just take the opportunity to look through them together, look through them on our own, but that kind of gives you an idea right there of what we're talking about.
I have looked at 6842, but that thing said that it could be, what you say last time, Jan, that it needs to be, 6842?
It's
And,
Yeah.
6842, not on this list.
yeah, I put it down.
Yeah, that's one thing, it's been, one street that has been mentioned several times.
That's gonna take more than paving.
Is there anything?
That's gonna take a lot of work on those streets out there. I got a question on that footage. What does that consist of?
That's not square footage, that's just linear feet.
I know, but what is it?
From the center of the intersection to the center of the intersection.
Yeah, but is that just pavement?
Yes, sir.
Because we got all of Prairie Street done for about twice what you got from 132 to the track.
Yeah. For how much?
I can't, this company remember what, is that
No,
100,000?
No, but it wasn't anywhere near that.
Yeah.
Well, these estimates, this is drainage and everything. This is not just what we've done in the past as far as, this is basically this is a Federal Highway Administration Tceq estimate on doing it up to their standards.
I see, okay.
So, I mean, that's on the high end. And I'd rather us be conservative in our estimates and that we go a little high to do it right, because otherwise we'll be back here in the next 5 years redoing the same streets, because,
Yeah.
you know, we got our potholes and our asphalt spreading out. So, that's why those costs are so high. You know, $189 per linear foot. But I think that we do have $250,000 set aside for streets this upcoming fiscal year.
We did have, just like we had the 6842 that we talked about, and I know it needs a little bit of work. But we also had talked about the rest of Wisdom Road. The last time we just did half, and we had talked about doing the rest of it. You know, after we completed the last project.
Didn't you also talk about Creek Boulevard?
Yes, that's correct.
On the Henry Street, Cottage to Adams, didn't we just pave that not too long ago? That one, sometimes we've done that.
Yeah, I don't think that stretch is too bad.
No.
I think on the other side of Cottage to the football field back there, but
Yeah,
there's
that one is, yeah.
4 houses back there too.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that was question mark, it's just duplex and 2 houses.
well, I mean, the way that I look at it though is like, which of these streets has the highest traffic? I know that on Prairie Street, I know it's just a small little stretch, but that's a lot of traffic goes over there every single day.
Yeah, that one has potholes.
And of course, hear a bunch of complaints over there on 681 by the school,
Yeah,
that road's in rough shape as well.
well, the buses drive through there and clear it up. They'll take a while back.
I was told that the
Yeah.
county had done that.
I think they went further down. I think that
They patched around the first
Oh, they
entrance.
passed,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did some patching. Yeah, so that one, so the county road one, that one is,
That might be part of their local.
that's correct. Because what they said that we might be able to do with them is, they'll do it, we just have to pay for the material.
Is that,
But
is
as part,
that, Castro district? Is that-
with Medina County,
Yeah, what commissioner is that?
681 would be Civic.
Civic.
Yeah. So that one would be, you know, we would just have to pay for the material, and they would go in there and go ahead and do the road, just like they've done in other places. So we could probably save ourselves some good money out of that one, for that particular one. Try to do that. So, Charles, this is good, in the sense of getting ideas and stuff. Sounds like it's up to you, see what you guys think. All I can say is just 6842, the rest of Wisdom and Priest Street, like Jonesy said, I know we talked about that. And I know Priest has got low volume, but it is, on Main
It's
Street.
got more volume than you think. It's got a lot of houses back in there going
It
that.
does, but compared to some of these other streets,
It's definitely got more traffic than Lake Street does.
so. Food for thought.
Is this, we're not gonna act on this, or?
I mean, we can, I mean, I have my, of course, opinions on which ones, I think that we should prioritize, high volume traffic. I think that those.
I agree with that. That's most people need.
Yeah, I would say every street, I could say my own, Blue Drive, Luke's up there tearing that thing up every day.
With bicycle?
He's got like a skateboard or something.
Oh.
Richie got something that tears it up. Yeah, I think we have issues with all the streets, so just trying to prioritize. That's the challenge. That's the challenge that we face, right?
We don't have to vote on this tonight, or come back and.
You guys can make a consideration, if you wanna table it for him to do something else, you guys can
James,
do that.
have you seen these before tonight?
He's the one that gave me.
I had it, so it is.
Okay.
I base this off of James'
Oh, okay, all right,
recommendation last
okay.
meeting.
Well, my question on this would be the approximate cost, and I heard what you said about where you got this. Are these real numbers, or, because these are some big numbers here, $404,000, should have been $10,000.
I mean, to go in, everything that I've researched says that if you go in and do a road, right, a mile of road costs $1 million. 1 mile. So that's how I came to this calculation, that I based it off, what is a square foot, what is a foot going to cost? That's how I got 189. Went, measured the linear feet, that's how, I came to that. But like I said, it also includes the drainage and, just doing it right.
Here's
So
another question, do all the roads need drainage and curb?
I would make the argument that they do. I would argue that is probably one of the major underlying problems with our streets getting chewed up is poor drainage. No drainage or poor drainage.
For example, Lake Street from North Prairie to Wisdom, that kind of goes back almost in the country back there.
Mhm.
I can see drainage there, but maybe not curbing. See what I'm saying?
And is there a lot of traffic in that?
I don't know. I know the road's a mess, but I don't know the last time.
It doesn't have that much traffic.
But that,
Yeah, we fix it, it'll have more, yeah.
That's
Yeah,
something.
because they're
That's a
working
complaint.
development.
That's a complaint that people have had though, once we put those speed humps in on Prairie. That they've been
Oh, they're trying to-
bypassing Prairie, going down Lake Street to Denton and going down
Well,
there.
and that was my.
That's right, that's what started it.
Yeah,
North Denton.
that's one of the main complaints.
I live right on the corner there by the cemetery. And, you have to live on the street or be near a street to know how much traffic there is. You wouldn't believe the traffic that comes down North Denton, past the cemetery, and right past my house, you would turn into more on down Denton. Yeah, so, Lake Street, if we could do that without curbing, but with some good drainage, that would save some of the 404 North Denton. They probably need drainage and curbing there because it's more residential.
I mean, I think that one of the things that we factored in the budget was, engineering costs to do these projects. Maybe it would be a good idea to have Jeff look them over.
Yeah,
And see
I'm
which
just saying,
one's
we
the
need a
most,
little
what can we get the most bang for our buck sort of deal. and
What's the
without-
total amount we have? Because I know there's some carryover money.
250,000.
250,
That's the total.
we're moving 100,000 forward.
Charles brings up a valid point in the sense of taking a look at those streets and the drainage and things we need to take in consideration. But I know in the past with those streets that we had some flexibility, we just went ahead and did the overlay to kind of smooth them out. So it might be good for us to take a look at which ones we can do the overlay, save us a little bit of money, and then the ones that we really need to go in and try to do the whole design. So, good for
Yeah,
them.
I know, Water Street, right in front of our house. The sewer line runs through there, and something, I mean, we can do that later, but, something you need to back that or something. You can trucks go by through there with gas trucks and it's already sinking down like that.
Should we, since it's a small amount, should we look at the 250,000 for us to do the overlay and maybe put the other ones and maybe look at other options for us to be able to fund the bigger projects? We know that we got to do them, but 250,000 is not realistically going to get us a lot.
No, we're gonna wanna do everything right. We're gonna end up having to get certificates of obligation.
So,
No ifs, ands, or buts.
so should we separate the ones that that can actually afford the overlay and use that 250 or?
I would think so.
Ken, which ones do you think are critical that we need to get done here in the next 6 months or 3 months or however?
I would say by the school, 681, that section there. And
But
then,
that's gonna be an interlocal agreement with Medina County.
Well,
I'm
if
not
that's the
saying
case, they can do that one out there too, can't they?
we save money when we get some more.
Twin Lakes. Is that
Yeah.
Medina County?
Right, we could
That's
probably,
another one
we
that's
could probably work with
The
Medina County on that one.
6842.
The 6842, that one, Charles, will need a little bit more money because we have that drainage problem right there and that dip.
That's gonna have to be.
So that one, the county, that one is gonna need to be engineered a little bit to be able to figure that portion of it, without a doubt.
But I would say, North Benton. And then maybe just part of Lake, maybe from North Prairie to North Benton.
You also want that North Prairie from the 132 to the tracks, right?
Yeah, that one, yeah. That's why when they put that 18-inch line in there, they did that bore. They dug that big hole. Every time someone comes up to that stop sign, they hit that stop sign, it just pushes that asphalt. So that's the trouble right there. And then you got Oak and Mesquite, those two small sections. Part of them was paved, I guess about 10 years ago.
I don't remember Oakville. That section of Oakville, yeah.
Yep, pretty new. Is that like where Eric used to have that house?
Yes.
I think that's pretty new. Isn't it?
Pretty important thing.
Is Tora?
This
I
guy
didn't
was,
think we've done that
I think on that.
section.
we did it from, behind
I thought we
the
did it.
back.
Oh, okay, that's,
Right, on that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Mesquite, we did down to South Benton, but there's a section there from South Benton to South Somerset in front of that two-story house, Diver's house. Methodist church.
one of the worst places in town that everybody sees every time when it rains, especially it's all beat out, is right there at, is it Benton and, Benton and Maine?
And 132.
I mean, that place is terrible. I mean, water will stand there for 3 or 4 days.
See, that's a drainage problem.
Yeah, I understand.
That's, and that's state right away.
Yeah,
So could we come up with 3 different columns? So maybe 250K, which ones we would do the overlay, the Medina ones that we have, Sam. So those we could work individually, and then the last ones would be the full drainage. We gotta look at it, and we have the 3. So we can figure out, we can plan out the 250 right now while we're working on the other ones that we actually have. And then the interlocal agreement, we'll need to save a little bit of money from that 250 to be able to pay for the materials. So, and get them in the schedule that goes along with that. So, I'm just throwing it out there, what do you guys think?
Well, obviously, $250,000, I mean, some of these chew up that whole amount. Just pick one road.
Is this based on,
I bet, these cost estimates, though, are going whole hog on it.
No, I understand.
So
could be less?
I would say a third of the cost, probably, if we're just gonna do the overlay.
Well, I think it's a good idea what the mayor suggested to have these three categories. The ones for the complete makeover, we can pick those and then prioritize them for the coming year or years. And think about maybe some bonds or whatever we need, certificates of obligation to get those done. But use the money that we have, the $250,000, to get as much overlay as we've done, as we can have done. And maybe one other complete package job. If there's that much work.
I know that, North Benton over there by your house, there, it's in bad shape. And that's, you got a lot of traffic on there, just go forward in the cemetery.
Yeah, when you have funerals, so I don't know if that needs, the edges of the road are really chewed up there and they're terrible potholes, so it's a double problem. I don't know if an overlay, James, what do you think? Is an overlay on North Benton by the cemetery sufficient, or should we go with a big package on that? I don't think there are big drainage problems on that. Right?
No, that's true. I would think an overlay, if they go in there and prep it first,
Yeah.
and
So
then
that's North Benton,
an overlay.
North Benton from Lake to Laredo.
yeah, so far I wrote down North Prairie, Oak Street, Mesquite Tree, and North Benton. I think Priest Street, what do you think? Overlay, James?
What is it? Priest.
Priest Boulevard,
Yeah, read off that list again, you have it. The
I was
overlay.
just listening, I wrote down to North Prairie, Oak Street, Mesquite Street, North Benton, and Priest Boulevard. And then Medina side, we had County Road 681, County Road 68,
42.
6842 on there.
Mhm.
I didn't have anything on the certificate of obligation just because I think some of those we just need to figure out which ones are gonna happen. But I think if we put something with those three categories, I think we can probably we can at least be able to address the 250. Start, once we get the agreement, talk to Medina about scheduling ourselves with them on that one, and then the certificate of obligation based on the others. The only other, what do you think, James, with the rest of Wisdom? We did half of the project last time. Do you think the rest we can do it with an overlay?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
It's wider, right? So the edges of it aren't chewed up as bad, like on North Benton, the edges are chewed up. So,
I think the biggest thing, council, that we're probably gonna need to do is just whoever the contractor that is doing the overlay, we're gonna make sure that they have that. It's not a steep drop.
Yeah.
Nice and even, put a little bit closer attention to that this time, so it makes it a little bit easier.
Thick on the center.
Picking this one,
So as of right now, which ones would we put under the complete package certificate of obligation category?
Richie, which one did you talk about? The years, you said that it always gets flooded?
Well, I mean, that's really more of a drainage deal and a TxDOT issue, that one, but that's one,
that's 132.
132 at Benton, but I mean, that's one that, 1,000 people drive by and you got this big mud puddle there and it's messy. And, I think,
Really bad drainage there, and then you got bad drainage on Prairie and Laredo too.
yes,
Vital Somerset.
Vital Somerset.
Yep. Yep,
Oh, yeah.
That's a lake.
That's the one that,
Okay.
cars have sunk out there.
So James, well, council, if you want to, we can go ahead and just table and ask for us to create these three columns, so at least we have an idea.
I think that's appropriate at this time. Because, you know, I appreciate all the work that Charles did to put this together. And dividing it up like this, we can get, I think, a more realistic view of the overlay is not gonna be $319,000.
It's better that we take an extra 2 weeks to iron this out and make a hasty decision and choose something that's not gonna be the best use of the money.
Yeah.
And that's why we carry these funds over, so that we could do a good job and I think a little more research, a little more input from James and the rest of the council, and we can, you know, here in 2 weeks, come back again, and especially we get Jerry and Joseph's input as well, make a little more informed decision. So I'll move that we table this until the next meeting.
I have a question, discussion for you.
Okay, a motion second. Go ahead.
We need to figure out what Medina County can actually do for us. You know, they may, I know that they do a lot of seal coat, but the hot mix, I don't know if they do any hot mix. Okay.
We sure do. We sure do. Had a rough start in the beginning, a lot of extra rock left in certain ones, they have come back, but I think once they learned the process and they got the machines, and they're getting ready to purchase some additional machinery for some of the funds that they actually have. So they're gonna continue to build up on that. The only thing I would put a caveat in a sense with them, of course, it's based on the time of the year too, when they actually do the street. So going into the winter months, they're not gonna be touching anything. So they're
I
gonna,
don't think any paving contractors do that.
so just, you know, in a sense, we might come up with that option, but it's gonna take a little bit of time. But that's one of the things that they're offering to the other communities that I've talked to, based on the agreement, is that, hey, we pay for the material and they'll go ahead and help us out with doing
It
it.
is an ordinance, 67.
Yes.
617 has a seal coat.
So they do the
Seal
street.
coat is where they put tar and aggregate down. I haven't,
The
have
actual
you seen
pavement.
Medina? Have
Oh,
you seen Medina paving?
They shoot oil and then they just put,
Yeah, seal coat.
look like, yeah, that's all I've ever seen.
I can double check, but I know based on the machines that they bought this past year, so we can answer.
Because I think that's what Commissioner Beck, he's doing work for Divine, he's trying to. With all the rain, you know, it's messed people up. But he's trying to do seal coats for Divine, not hot mix, but anyways. It'd be great if he could.
So let me find out what they're doing in 2 weeks. Be able to do that. So I have a motion. I got a second.
I have a question too. These streets that we suggested for the overlay, is there any way we can determine how many of those we can get done with the 250,000 we have available to us after first October?
Well, we have to go up for bid,
Bids, can we get an average of how much it costs, James?
Yeah, because you know, we have divided into categories. We don't have the super money for the final category there. But we have 1, 2, 3, 4, at least 5 in the overlay. How far will 250,000 go on those suggested overlay roads?
Ms. Coffey, you remember what they charge for prairie?
No, but it's not gonna, with the cost of everything right now, I wouldn't even
Yeah.
say we're gonna be anywhere near that.
I think, David, that Joseph, based upon her past contacts with contractors in the city, should probably call.
I can call Clark. Clark does the best job.
They do a really good job.
I think we need to see that number before we make any. At least something that's more ballpark than, hey, let's try to do these roads.
but they would have to go out.
Yeah, we will have to go out to bid, no,
But they would
yeah,
have to go out.
what about that, but
Sure.
at least we
I
know,
think that they give you.
Yeah, we're gonna know
Yeah.
if 250 is gonna come close to doing all of these, or if we need to start prioritizing these 6.
A couple of years ago, the last thing we had done, they went from Lake Street on Wisdom, came all the way in. Lake Street went down North Somerset, and then they went in front of the park. And I don't know how much money we had there. I don't know if it was 100,000, but that's what we got done. If you can imagine,
it was 100.
And that was Clark,
Okay,
James, that was
It was
Clark.
Clark,
yeah, that was
that were
Clark.
the last one.
Yeah.
And that was, that's quite
And,
a few blocks there.
but we did, okay, repeat the tree road?
Started at Lake and Wisdom.
Yep.
And came all the way down to around the Masonic Lodge.
Yep.
We came up North Somerset, and then we went in front of the park
And we did
Pine Street,
Adams,
didn't we?
right?
Yeah.
to Pine
did
Street,
Adams.
Adams to
And
Pine.
then we did Somerset.
Yeah.
And then we did Somerset too. All that was 100.
Okay, so we should be able to cover all of
So,
these
The
on
only,
the overlay with that
Yeah.
250.
the only specific is making sure that drop.
Right,
That was,
and they were a lot better about that than the other
Yeah.
company was.
So they're good.
so, but that was all covered.
Yeah, I go up north, Surrey every day, taking kids to school. That's pretty good resurface.
Try it on a bicycle. When we're on bicycle patrol, you can, it's like rock hopping or something. I've crashed out there a few times. Matt won't admit to it, he probably has to.
On Richie, on Richie.
But anyhow, if we could get at least a ballpark on these overlay roads, because we may have some left out of it to apply toward one of our high priority jobs.
Hey, Luke, you gotta give us some lessons on how to ride bike.
You gotta make sure he has his helmet on when he's out.
That's all I have.
No, I appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, so the discussion portion on there, the three things we said is table for us to relook at the columns. I'm gonna go ahead and talk to Medina and find out what they actually do. And then the last one is Josie, you're gonna go ahead and find out for the cost.
I'll call Clark.
So we'll have all those three and we can go ahead and look at it in 2 weeks. Okay, any other further discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, it is 8:09, so let's go ahead and take a 10-minute break. Go ahead and, so Josie, if you can go ahead and show us very quickly.
Good morning.
Yes.
These big trucks.
Yeah.
You know, saying whether you're hard working. Good job. Are we ready to go?
I'll only let you out there.
Oh, Richie's talking.
Get away from it, Sam.
Luke, go save him, Luke.
Run for your life.
Go save him. Yes, that's all about. Okay, Josie, if you can actually go ahead and show us that 8:22. Show us back on that. Okay, item P, we have for the discussion is consider act upon employment status of our finance director. So, how would you like to go ahead and since it's part of the employees and the performance and everything, Edward, would you like to go ahead and do it out here in the open? Would you like to,
Well, let's do it private.
you want to do an executive session?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. So, I think I wrote, let's see. Okay, so Josie, if you can go ahead and show us at 8:22, same time, 8:22 p.m. Going into executive session based on government code 5.1.074. Okay? We can go ahead and do that. So council, if we can actually go ahead and go back there. You can go ahead and join us. Josie, if you can also join us back there. Appreciate it.
Okay, Richie, get out the cards, so you got something to do.
No.
No, hey, we're still recording audio, chief, so don't say
Oh, I
anything.
got that.
It's been great.
We're gonna shoot crap. Does anybody have a problem with that?
I'm with Tom. I got to put on the sweater. Certain point.
Oh, yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, put on the
It's
sweater.
colder tonight.
So,
I'm gonna miss that guy.
Like lamb to the slaughter.
Killing you.
Your dad, seriously. One of two things gonna happen to you. You listen to your dad. One, you're never gonna find a job. Or two, you're gonna get beat up.
Okay.
Knowing your dad, I'm going for number two.
Yeah, I almost
You know-
got beat up a few times.
you know the only-
Like,
The only reason your dad doesn't get beat up now is because I have a family and I don't want to lose my job here.
yeah.
And you might lose.
Never
Even
in
Luke
his mind.
knows that was a far fetched thing.
You see me out there kickboxing in the backyard, ain't you?
Is that what you were doing? I thought you were trying to get rid of some fire ants. So what they have back there?
Which one?
Oh,
one
they
that
just
lives
had
on
some
Main
normal
Street?
stuff, you
I'm
know.
not even talking.
Crackers and Rice Krispies.
Yeah, yeah, you're right.
It was organized in a nice display. There was a circle of crackers and then, you know, it was pretty
I'd
good.
have been happier with a circle of like hamburgers.
Circle hamburger. I like that, man.
I think I'm gonna take a hamburger joint on the way
You
home.
had hamburgers at lunch today, man. Cooked some excellent burgers. I think we're gonna have sloppy joes tomorrow.
I was gonna ask
I asked,
Dave,
hey Dad, can I come to work with you for lunch? I don't remember anything today. No, we're just gonna have to, you know, take salad or something. He gets home, we get pissed.
Oh, yeah.
Alright.
I don't know about her.
What's that? SAF, what's that?
That stands for my baseball team, San Antonio Beast. It's
San Antonio what?
Beast, it's an acronym.
Oh, yeah. San Antonio Beast.
Yeah, it's,
That's a team I'd be interested in.
oh yeah, only if it involved eating.
Exactly. You've been around me too long, dude.
Well, I wasn't here.
What'd you steal out of my pantry, by the way?
I didn't steal nothing. It looked, guys, I saw like the doors cracked, there's like coffee in it.
So which is, which would make a very good criminal interrogation. Oh, he's just like his dad. Oh my God.
I told him, that's nothing y'all would miss.
I come in and tell him one day, so Danny said, Danny, why are you here? You worked the other day, you'll be off today. I was working. Oh, Chief told me I had to come in and work. I had to. I was like, Danny, all right, I'll call Chief later. Hey, you told Danny he had to work. No. If he wanted to, he could. Danny's like, he told me I had to work. I wanted to. I said, I'll get to the bottom of this. They both show up. We're getting the opposite. All right, which one's lying to me? What, man? What happened? I tell him. He goes, I told him he had to work. I was like, well, that was quick. Horrible, man.
Better the alternative of, being mad all day, and not like or anything, being miserable. Right?
We're taking down those,
I mean, the hamburger was a little rare for me
Yeah.
today, but I didn't.
Not everybody eats well done, blackened everything.
That's how even my mom were like, that's me well done.
Nah,
Take the burger off.
you eat meat, you do not be well done. Period.
It needs to have a little,
A little,
yeah, a little.
Medium well.
Yeah.
How about that damn cooked chicken?
Good for me.
This is really, I'm gonna show him. It's when you're eating your chicken, you're like,
Yesterday, I helped my brother.
Let me tell you how bad it was. Is that thing on?
it's on.
It's on.
He took care of his animals.
Yeah.
Let me tell you how bad it was. Frank didn't eat
He
it.
asked me,
Freak.
somebody just sitting here, I said, "You got chips." I'm like, well, we eat this.
I know. I told Chief, be careful, it's still audio. But you know, Chief, he don't care.
No, Lucas just did the first three.
No, I said I saw some cops and I was tipped.
Oh,
Yeah, you know, she went with.
My God, I told you. First thing you do is start laughing. First thing.
all right, Chief, killing me.
You too, sir.
is a, house, when I was at, oh,
No.
You got a picture in your office of when you were in the house.
Yeah, I wanna see that someday.
all right.
Was y'all staying in there?
Not bad.
Give it his dad a post.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, Josie, if you can actually show us back at 901. Okay, and no action taken by the city council.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion. I move that we extend the probationary employment period for Edward Eichelberger as finance director until December 31st, 2020.
Thanks, Charles.
I'd
Have a
second
motion?
that.
Have a second on that? Okay. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Josie?
Got it.
Do that for me. All right, Edward. Got some work to be done. So appreciate the opportunity. Okay, let's go ahead and proceed. Q, consider and act upon the depository contract.
Well, I don't see any changes necessary. We don't pay fees on bank accounts. The bank allows us to break any CDs regardless of the maturity date. So, I didn't see any reason to make any changes to this agreement.
Okay, have we run this through Tom already?
It's same guy.
It's the same thing.
So we don't need to worry about anything?
I'd just add that, the bank, they put up securities to cover your deposits over the 250. There's a max that the FDIC will cover. It's 250, but the bank puts up securities to cover.
And our auditors mentioned that the other day,
Right,
that
yeah.
they're doing their job.
And also, full disclosure, I'm a director over at the bank, so.
I make a motion that after this depository contract.
Okay, a motion for us to go ahead and set up a depository contract on behalf of Lido State Bank of the city.
I'll second.
Okay, have a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Or consider and act upon the investment policy.
My only comments on this is, section 8, authorized investments. Now, the city only invests with CDs at the moment, but I don't really see any reason why the city should ever invest in commercial paper. 2008, the commercial paper market pretty much froze during the financial crisis, so I don't think we need to be even A1P1. So I would just remove commercial paper as authorized investments at all. And I would also remove repurchase agreements. There's really no reason for the city to take on that risk. I mean, we're in historically low interest rates at the moment, so there's nothing to be gained by going outside a bank CD. And again, I think historically, the city's only done CDs for investments, correct?
Yeah, pretty much, years ago, the council decided they wanted to keep the money local instead of investing in some of these state pools. Mind you, we don't have enough money to invest in.
See, I don't have a problem with that either, with Edward's recommendations.
Okey-dokey. Making those adjustments based on that.
Mayor, I move that we, make modifications to the investment policy per the finance director's recommendations and adopt it.
Got a motion?
One second.
Got a second? Any further discussion?
Well, yeah, do we need to see the final product before we actually approve it for another year, or can we?
Just removing those two items. I think
Okay.
it's just
No,
removing.
I'm just asking, for.
Well, we're only investing in CDs at the moment. There's no change contemplated, to my knowledge.
I'll get him to have Virginia take those sections out,
Yeah, if that's all that needs to be done.
and the mayor can check on it before he signs it on Wednesday.
We'll do that.
Good. I just didn't know if we needed to bring it back.
As long as you feel comfortable just making those.
No, it's fine with me.
All those in favor? Okay. So I'll just put on here, we got the 2 pages in the investment. Okay. All right, S, consider an act upon the approval of revised code from Brown Electric Services for work at well number 4. So
Like 5S and the.
you should have a handout, it's an email to send in, take into consideration. I don't want to read the whole thing, but basically what, in a nutshell, is that the part that they had identified that would actually be used for what Ronna needed to do was not the right. When they corrected it and figured out which part needed to go in there, it actually increased the price by $29.77.28. So that's in a nutshell. So we're coming back to council asking to see if we can go ahead and revise. And by the way, James, I don't know if you saw him. I know you were going up. I was going down, coming down to the cost, and I saw him. He was out there actually already putting up the panel and working out there too. So
Where's this estimate come from? 2977.
Who's he getting the stuff from, do you know? Which supplier?
I mean, out of the budget.
So we had approved already,
You have approved like 10,400.
Oh, okay.
so we're adding this.
This
It's
is,
an
this
addition.
is all coming out of the water.
Okay,
well.
so the money's been approved, it's just a little more he's pouring out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Got it, okay.
Exactly. Yeah, it's based on
$3,000 more.
using the correct part, basically. So we need to increase it by $2,900, basically. But yeah, he was out there. That was good to see him out there. That's good. Real good.
Okay, we'll get that.
Okay, we have a motion to go ahead and accept that.
I'll second that.
Okay, have a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? T, consider an act upon the renewal contract of Vital Volunteer Fire Department. Okay. Josie and Matt?
Well, it's the same as it's always been, except that it's another $6,000 a year. It went from 84,000 a year to 90,000. And that's what we, put aside in the budget for the new year.
Once the council approves it, I'll put it on our next agenda, the fire volunteers first.
Okay, so then we can come back and take care of it. And it's this month, right?
Yes.
For this month, we will take care of it. Okay? Yes.
I'll make a motion.
Got a motion for us to go ahead and approve? Okay, second. Go ahead and approve it. Any further discussion?
Yeah, I have a quick question there. Matt, what is the volunteer fire department going to be receiving from the emergency services district?
So the new ESD in Atascosa County in this current budget year, when we contract starting, they start October 1 as well. And we moved our fiscal year at the fire department to match everybody's now. We're still under contract with Atascosa until December 31st. So we'll contract with the ESD January 1, and in their first year's budget, it's 8,000 and some change. There's an overall, the ESD is gonna bring in roughly 204,000, but we've had to take a loan out from the Lotto State Bank. I see ESD took a loan out, a line of credit out at Lotto State Bank, so that way we can start to pay for things we have to pay for now, like tax collection contracts, the appraisal district's portion, because we're part of that. So the first year is 100,000 going back just to pay that debt off. So
So you're looking at, I mean, is that amount gonna be increasing
where we are now.
from, once those new developments?
Yes, as those new houses go in and new developments go in Atascosa County, anything built out there would increase the tax revenue coming in, just like it does here in the city. As the houses develop here in the city, the taxes go up for the city to use that money.
Are you gonna pay out that debt in the first year?
Yes, ma'am, we will not carry any debt.
So then they'll be over 100,000?
They'll free up 100,000 in next year's budget to do something with.
Well,
They've
that's
already
wonderful.
talked
Isn't
about,
that about 5 times what Atascosa County's giving you?
Atascosa County is 22.5 a year, and the very first year we're going to 45, so yes, that's
Yeah,
the whole point of why we went to an ESD,
that's great.
and the taxpayers said they thought fire protection was that important, that they were willing to pay an extra 10 cents per 100 on their home, or up to.
Is that part of the plan, Matt, you had mentioned about trying to have 2 bodies here?
Yes, this will add 2 bodies. I can tell you, we are still, cross your fingers, say your prayers. They are awarding safer grants as we speak every Friday. The fire department put in for a safer grant, and if we get lucky enough to get that awarded, it will pay for a total of 9 full-time firemen for the next 3 years, 100%. That's benefits, retirement, everything.
Wow.
As
That's
we,
wonderful.
when they looked at all of our numbers, they said, it's a $1 million grant. They looked at our numbers and said, how are y'all still operating as a volunteer fire department?
Barely, right?
Yeah, we put in Salmon Island, we met with Congressman Cuellar's rep. That was one of the things that we actually made a push for after our conversation. So we're gonna continue that dialogue, not only for that, but for a few other things. And I was talking to Maggie here recently, the rep, and she was telling me she was gonna include us as some of the new dissemination.
I would love to talk with them about their CDBG grant on public facilities, which could be used for building a fire station. If not, then we're gonna have to partner with somebody. And if the ESD has already talked to us, the new one, about building something, but of course, if they build it, it'll be outside the city because it's their, you know what I mean, they wanna build something where they are.
Yeah.
We wanna keep something in the city where either gonna have to work in conjunction with the city on certificates of obligation, or figure out a CDBG grant or loan.
Let's see if we can we'll get Maggie over. Okay. It was Eric and Maggie, remember? So we'll try to get them down here. Okay, Charles? Any other discussion on that? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
There we go.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time. You consider an act upon authorizing the order of and purchase of 2 2022 Chevy Tahoe police vehicles to be paid for the upcoming budget.
So normally we would wait and do this in October or sometime in the fall but unfortunately the vehicle situation, as you all know, is very, in the 22 years I've been here, and the 15, 20 vehicles we bought for the city, maybe more, we've never had this scenario of waiting for vehicles and this kind of stuff.
Like Public Works.
Yes. And how long did we wait for their,
Since January.
It was a lot.
8 months, so.
I want to say 9 months.
So, what we're doing now is, we got, Matt and them went down there, we've been telling these people, they think they've got a couple of them on an order going to Travis County, he can snag for us. They always try to buy a few extra. But, the price on that $36,851, which I don't know how I met with y'all, but I know I did meet with Charles, and we itemized it, we had 37 in there, Charles, so we were actually, the bid price came in, basically exactly where we were thinking it was, which I wasn't sure what it was gonna do. on the actual vehicle price. So anyway, this would be the 36,581, you know, it would be 73,703 for the two Tahoes, you know.
And the reason we're asking now is we've already closed orders for 2022. So if we don't snag these two extra they have on this order, which is the same color scheme we're already in, we would have to wait until they open up the 2023 ordering platform, which they don't know when that's gonna be.
Yeah, so it's really vital. We'd like to be able to go ahead and get a PO and get them ordered. I mean, they won't be paid out of this year's budget, obviously. But
That's the main thing.
yeah,
Yeah, they won't be.
I mean,
Well-
they're in the budget.
yeah, so that's what we like to do. Again, you know, these aren't normal times for vehicles, and if we're not careful, you know, we've got several, you know, some real high mileage vehicles, so we need to try to keep the momentum going here, or we're gonna get behind.
Well, Edward, if he gets approval tonight, I'll warn you, he'll be laying down on the floor before you come in tomorrow morning. Right in front of your-
No, I'll just sit in.
Right in front of your
I'll
office.
step over your door.
Anyway, that's really it. So then what would happen, the way this would work is, and we, of course, to get the maximum value and to get it where we get our budget, after October, we'll start ordering the equipment, you know, the various vendors. We've got a couple places, we'll get some bids, we'll get a couple bids if they're a better deal. But we'll start ordering the equipment, radios and stuff in October. And then hopefully, you know, we'll probably have all that stuff in the PD and have it all lined up, probably waiting on the vehicles normally. But it works, and we can save about $3,000-4,000 a vehicle. We really didn't want to do it that way. It's easier turnkey, but when we looked at it, I mean, Matt was a turnkey guy, but even when he looked at it if we're buying it all from one vendor, it's still going to be quite a bit cheaper to.
It's more bang for our buck to do it the way we've always done it.
Yeah, and it works for us. As far as the,
You know how it's hooked up to. It makes it a lot easier when you
Well,
fix it.
and we've dealt with all these people, and we, you know, we have what we've done's worked. I mean, I can't complain. You know, this is our first rodeo. I mean, there's a lot of stuff we don't know anything about, but the truth is, outfitting vehicles and stuff, we pretty much got a pretty good handle on that at least.
I'll make that move. They're too big.
That's it.
Okay, second? Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor?
Thank you.
Seemed it was just like yesterday, getting Luke all excited because you were getting in charges, now you're getting Tahoes. Time flies. Okay, B, consider and act upon the proposals received for cleanup, for County Road 6843 and Twin Lakes portion inside the city. Okay, so this one is just, for the council to take into consideration. We had an opportunity, James and Skip, right? It was just the three of us, but we had one contractor that came in, made a proposal. He started picking up trash, or he picks up junk. So we asked him, hey, give us an estimate, see how much it's gonna cost. He came back to go ahead and cover the area from the intersection inside the county road where people are dumping all the bad stuff. It was about $4,000 to go ahead and get it done. So we went and talked to Waste Management, our contractor that we actually have. And Chris came back and said that as long as we do it on a weekday, can't be on a weekend, on a weekday, that they would use the truck that has an arm that reaches in and grabs stuff and puts it into a dumpster, so it already has a dumpster in the back. And that's $1,000 for the day with the driver and that. And then they charge $250 for every time that they go drop off. And based on the estimate of going down that road, they're estimating it'll probably be 2 trips. So we have one quote that is basically $4,000. And then we have about 1,500, if you want to say 1,750, just to be safe, 1,750 with Waste Management, that they would actually help us be able to clean up that area where we've had all the illegal dumping. The only difference is that Chris from Waste Management had asked, and I already talked to James, we talked about it, is the tires. So they would need to separate the tires because they can't take the tires, but we have a source. We talked about that. I talked with James
You got a source?
with tires.
I don't really have a source to take the tires to, other than there may be a place, well, there's a place off of the interstate in Bear County near us that takes shingles to make road materials.
I thought somebody was taking tires back there.
Well, we had that list you gave me a while back, I have it in the office.
Yeah, so you need to look at the list.
And there's a list, there is the people that will take tires
Now, the
off of 410.
The other thing that if we need to, James, and we can talk to, I don't mind us going over and talking to one of the commissioners and asking them, because just down the road in Divine, they do have a trailer where they take tires. But we need to work out a deal with Medina County. The only thing that we'll need to do is be able to transport them. So there is gonna be a cost that actually is associated with that. That's the only thing that Waste Management said that they don't. If they do it, then there's gonna be additional costs. But if we can handle it ourselves, then we would be able to.
Probably around 100 or so.
Really?
Yeah.
Could be, once you start counting it.
It's up there.
200
Yeah, it might be.
Now, remember, the truck is only gonna go down to where we need to. And Josie, we said that all we're required is 5 feet. So that arm should be able to extend a little bit further than that. But anything that is further down that way, we're not gonna go in there. And if you haven't driven through there, the brush has just gotten so thick. That's another reason why it might be good to let the truck do that, just because of safety. The gentleman that was gonna charge us $4,000 came back and said, hey, are you guys gonna kind of clear it a little bit? I don't know what's in there. So I think it's in the best interest to be able to do that. So I'm putting the information out there. If you guys are feel comfortable with that we can go ahead and pursue with our own waste management company for us to be able to take care
You're
of
gonna
it.
save money on that. Also,
So-
What was the question?
He said he's gonna save money going with waste management.
Oh, sure, yeah, absolutely.
they have the arms open.
Yeah, not only that, we know they're fully insured and bonded and that whole thing. I wouldn't worry with them at all compared to the other small business. I think we're better off.
So Edward and Josie, any issues, Sam brings up a point, in the sense of financial, any issues with us having the funding to be able to do this?
We got more than 1,500 in miscellaneous.
And we would do it in the new fiscal year. It would be, and we'll talk about the cleanup day, we'll tie it in here shortly. So, feel comfortable with that?
Yeah, I mean, what about the stuff that's down there? It's just gonna be, it's out of reach from the arm, we're just gonna leave it?
I think we said that we were gonna talk to the homeowners, isn't that what, we said anything past the 5 feet?
So, you wanna-
The property owners, yeah, we're only
they own the-
responsible for that,
Whatever.
the right of way.
It's down to the bottom of it. That's not our responsibility.
It's not in our right of way, it's not our baby.
So,
It's just gonna get washed up once the water's, I mean, you know what I mean? Like, if we can get it, we might as well get it because the lake's gonna rise, all that stuff's gonna wash, it's just gonna be lodged there.
the weird part, Charles, is that they're actually dividing part of the lake in there. Is that right, Skid?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
James?
There's a pretty good incline on that
Yeah,
too, as far as going down there and trying to get back up.
yeah.
Those guys,
That attitude, yeah. That's what we gotta do.
Well,
We gotta have the young folks go down there, James.
I think you're talking about the arm going down there, right, James?
yeah, well, as far as he can reach, that's all right, but I mean,
Yeah,
if anybody else go down in there,
yeah, I would,
pretty
I would
far.
send somebody down there.
I don't know.
I don't think you.
Unless Charles wants to try it.
I think, I would worry about first, we'll be honest, too.
Yeah, worry about the other stuff later, once it washes.
Well, I think most of the stuff is on the backside of that dam. right?
On the east side?
Yes, yes.
I mean, there's a bunch of stuff, I haven't been out there in a while, but there's a bunch of stuff that used to be, it was where the lake used to be, right? I mean, it's like a junkyard in there. I don't know what we're gonna do about that, that's outside the city, right?
Right.
Yeah.
That's it, we need to worry about it.
Yeah, it's terrible, it's terrible in that area.
I'll entertain my, idea that I presented years ago. Can we just annex Twin Lakes?
And it was funny because when we got together with the commissioner, you know, he was real quick, hey, do you guys want to annex it? So it's
Heck,
funny
no,
how-
we want
Are
to
you-
disannex.
For 20 years, the sheriff over there, it's the third sheriff, Medina County would love for us to annex Twin Lakes.
Well,
We
James
can
and I
go.
just recently, here in the last week, the last week we drove it, and I tell you, the part that used to be really bad, they've cleaned up. Now it's further this way towards us that is bad. So that back area is actually, they've cleaned it up. They've done a better job.
I wish some of y'all could have seen that place years ago.
Oh,
Yeah, the homeowners have actually, the homeowners have actually been.
I wish y'all could have seen that place when they first started going.
I've got a question on the tires. Now, Waste Management will pick up the tires and place them in a container of our choosing that we could take them, say, in a trailer.
From what I understood is they would be able to, yeah, we'll have to put them on the truck, but they'll be able to extract whatever is in there.
You're gonna do
We're gonna pick up the tires, put them in the trailer.
it. Okay. Okay, well, there's a place in San Antonio you can take to, probably cost about $1,500, maybe $2,000.
Let's let's talk to some of our resources that are close by. Let's see if maybe we can get some assistance with that, because it is their territory too, right? It is.
True.
So we might as well go ahead and talk to them and see if they can help us out.
Okay.
Okay. Go ahead and do that. So, if I can get a motion, I'm asking for us maybe $17.50, just to play it safe and have 3 loads.
I'll make that one.
Okay, a motion, okay, got a second, discussion? Anything else? Okay, all those in favor? Appreciate that. All right, tell the update on the Lido cleanup day.
yeah, I think the date is October 13th.
16,
That's 16, isn't it?
16.
16, and 23rd is the backup?
that's correct.
Okay, yeah, the beautification committee is going to publicize this. We talked about having a couple of large receptacles, maybe dumpsters or something.
So I'll, just to let you know, as part of this, Waste Management has donated in-kind 3 big dumpsters. So we can have them in 3 different locations in the city limits for people to actually go drop stuff.
Right, and the beautification committee had quite a discussion about where they're gonna put them. They hadn't locked it down yet, but they're gonna look around and decide where they're probably one over by HEB, one somewhere in this area. But they're doing a lot of publicity on it. Young Bowen kind of took the lead on that. He's gonna throw up like posters that can also be put online. Get those out.
Yeah.
And,
I have a question.
yes,
I know I'm gonna include it in the newsletter, but do we want to encourage our people that they have any junk to throw away, to clean their yards?
Yeah,
Take
that's-
advantage of those dumpsters?
that's what this is. It's not just that we have volunteers pick up alongside the road, because we don't need 3 dumpsters for some empty plastic bottles. So they're advertising that if you have things you need to get rid of around your house that you don't have an easy way. But I think they're gonna eliminate like the same thing that the trash people do. They're not gonna pick up building waste or shingles or stuff like that. But if you have an old mattress or something, you can take it and throw it in the dumpster. That's what I think they're gonna use. They're gonna use a big roll-on, roll-off type dumpster, I think. So it's gonna be quite a bit of room for us to. It seems like there was even a discussion about talking to them about if we happen to fill one of these things, and they, come get it and drop it over off, but they're working on that. So anyhow, they're gonna publicize it, they're gonna try to get, people out from the city. They're gonna let people know, like Josie was asking, can we bring stuff from home and throw it away there? There was some discussion about old paint cans that may have some residual paint in them, and,
Waste management would let you know, because that's considered hazardous material.
yes. Yeah. When I first moved here in 16, there were some old paint cans in my garage, and I asked the trash people then, how long have we had waste management?
Since 1984.
Okay. So when the guys were actually coming and picking up the trash, I asked them, what do I do with paint cans? And they had some old paint. And it was like, if it's not lead paint, throw it away, just put it in the trash. But I think they're gonna look into that too. So like I say, they seem to be all over this.
I would imagine there's a lot of people who are just throwing in the trash, and nobody ever knows
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah, we probably need to get them, I know, and Skip, I know you have the list for that one. That was one a few years ago. There's a place in San Antonio that you can go drop off the paint and all that.
Yeah.
Designated area, there's nothing near here for us to be able to do it, but it's run by Waste Management. But
Actually,
let Chris let us know.
Mayor, they will pick your thing up, but it's just my special, you gotta call them and let them know, and they'll come by, and they'll supply you with the right paper bags, with the thing, and they'll come pick them up from your house.
Really?
Yeah.
So we need to get that.
That's nice to
Yeah,
know.
I'll talk to the new person, I'll make sure they know.
We need to close the loop with Chris on that. Let him tell us. Okay?
Yeah, so anyhow, it seems like they're all over with publicity and coordination, and they're gonna really try to beat the bushes, get people out, and let people know they can bring stuff in their house, so.
And we're gonna have designated areas for people.
Yeah, oh yeah, they'll specify very clear where the drop-off point's gonna be, so people picking it up alongside the streets will, just come back there and dump it, and citizens can come and use it.
That'll be good. And I know we have some supplies, right, Joseph? Yeah. Okay, good. We'll probably talk about it here in the near future, is there something?
Yeah, we're gonna have a
Keep us posted as we get
When y'all
closer.
planning the next meeting, is it next week?
I don't have it on my notepad right here.
Okay, I'm sure Denise will send me an email.
Yeah.
If you're good about sending me an email.
You got a bunch in
Like,
there,
is she gonna have the
pretty
Boy
soon.
Scouts come out?
Sorry,
Is she gonna have the Boy Scouts come out?
I don't remember the conversation about that.
She's one of the leaders.
All right, any questions on the cleanup? Okay, nothing at all? Okay. Update on beautification committee.
A little bit of overlap here. There were 4 members of the committee in the meeting that I went to. I think 2 of them have been there for a while, Cheryl Vaughn and Denise
Yeah.
Jacks. And then Philip Devaney is one of the new members. He is one of the co-owners of the Bakery Pub. He's very keen on cleaning things up, I might say. If any of you have talked to him, he has strong opinions about what we need to do to clean this place up. So it's gonna be interesting to see him on the committee. Go-getter type. Chris Bowen, y'all know Chris. He's jumped in there, and because he has some experience doing posters and computer stuff.
Yeah, some great ideas.
Yeah, he was all over that. And so they kind of let him have that responsibility to do it. And the other lady, I don't have the name, I guess she was in the hospital or something.
Yeah, Jeannie Simmons.
Okay.
Has anybody heard? I guess she's home, right?
Last I heard, she's in rehab.
She's in rehab.
Yeah, and that's what they were saying. I think Janice was saying, I'm not sure she's ever. gonna do it.
I don't know that she's gonna be able to come back.
So we probably need to anticipate, looking at our logs to find out who appointed that her.
It was Charles.
I appointed her, I mean, I can talk to her. and see.
Okay, yeah. Because we may need to
She's
move
had
on.
gone through a rough time. I know she's, over the last few months, she's developed a lot of allergies.
Yeah.
So she may not want it anymore.
Yeah, but everyone who was there was very enthusiastic. Various of them saying, yeah, I'll take care of that, I'll look into this. So I felt good about being in the meeting and being part of that group.
Thank you, David. Appreciate that. Any questions? Anything? Nope. Okay. Next one, update on TCEQ Emergency Preparedness Plan. This is just so the council would be aware. You have item 5Y in your handout. So you take a look at that. We've been notified by them that we have a suspense for us to be able to take care of an emergency preparedness plan, or they refer to it as an EPP. We'll need to respond back to them by the 1st of March of next year. And then it talks about the implementation portion of it. Jeff has responded from TC or TRC and said that they're willing to help us out. There's some information. We'll be looking into this and then coming back to the council. But I just wanted the council to be aware that we do have a suspense in front of us, a deadline for us to have a deliverable back to DCQ. So we'll go ahead and take care of that. Sam, have you heard, since this is dealing with the utility, in a sense, power outages and the utility portion of the plan, have you heard anything from your contact about generators?
I sent him two texts from you, I called him on the phone, he hasn't answered. I see if I continue calling him, see if we can get hold of him.
Please do. I'm gonna go to Charlotte tomorrow, so I'm gonna stop by that other place that we got from Mascosa that mentioned that they might have. So we'll probably bring something to the council, but for tonight, we just want you to be aware that we have a deliverable. Okay?
He told me the last time that they were supposed to be bringing somebody. Company.
Well, they just need to tell us when or not, because we're in the fall, and we need to have arrangements in case we have a severe winter storm, that we have at least some backup to be able to help James out. Try to do that. So.
I think he's in charge of the festival. We've been
They're busy.
Right. He's real busy. But I'll continue to try to get a hold of him.
Please do. Let's see it by the next meeting so we can iron it out. All right.
I would like to add on
Yes.
this item that TCEQ, they're supposed to provide financial, managerial, and technical contractors to assist us in complying with the applicable emergency preparedness plan submission deadline. And they're also to, and they say in this letter, that they're to create an emergency preparedness plan template for use by an effective utility implemented plan. So that resource is also available to us.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah. So we got a little bit of work to do on that one. Okay. I have an idea. All right, Z, update on the coal mine exit.
At the current time, we're trying to figure out if First Street is public street. We put in a request for documents from the county clerk, the county clerk, to help us establish that, and we're waiting on that. There's been a lag time with the county clerks on non-essential information, so we just haven't heard from them back. We haven't heard back.
So you're trying to determine if First Street is actually a
Yes.
street?
Yes, Josie has provided me with something that is old plat, and it just shows that there's an easement for that street. But whether or not it was ever dedicated as a street, we don't know. We're trying to find that out. We're trying to get the deeds into, what's her name over there? Salinas, Evelyn, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, Evelyn Salinas, and that will help us.
So that part is under Atascosa or not Medina?
It's Medina.
Medina.
It's
all Medina.
Medina County Clerk.
Okay, Medina.
The gentleman that, his mother owns a trailer park, he's asking me to be a part of the city. So they wanna put some more, trailers on the other side.
What they were requiring from Sam was if we would pave that street.
Oh, no, it's not ours to begin with.
And that's, I said, well, we need to establish whether or not it's a street, and then we need, that goes hand in hand with the looking at that as an exit.
Well, even if it's an easement, we can use it though,
Not
right?
necessarily,
Really?
there's a lot of easements you can't use. There's a lot of easements I can't use.
Really?
So this is with the county clerk with Gina Champion that you're waiting for? Okay.
And I could probably email you tomorrow with the specific clerk that we talked to.
Roger that. Yeah. Questions,
Deputy
anybody?
clerk, I should say.
Actually, just so you know, so here for the next, starting Thursday this week, Medina County, you might as well give everybody an extra week because they are moving, except for the appraisal office. But everybody's moving into the new courthouse. So there's gonna be a lot of movement, a lot of phones not ringing where they need to ring and stuff like that. So emails is gonna be the best way to communicate for the next few weeks. Okay, any questions on that one? Okay, there we go. AA, update on census. Josie.
I included this in your packet. I received this from Rolando Rios, the attorney that is working on this project for us. Census did release the figures in September, so he sent this on to us. He sent the numbers out, which is on page 2, and then on page 3, the district lines. And when you first look at it, it really doesn't look like it's that big a difference, but then when you look at 5, Charles will tell you right there that there's a difference there, because he's 5, and then used to take in part of Bloom Drive and all that pink right there, and on Houston and stuff too, so that's the change.
You lost so many?
I would say about 100. Everybody on Star Cross Trail.
Yeah.
And then, the interior of Bloom Drive.
Josie, can you send the colored copy out to the council so they can see the color version?
Oh, yeah, I can send it to him. Yeah.
It's easier to see it.
It's in
Yeah.
the email.
Good.
Oh, it's in the email? Okay,
Yeah.
never mind, sorry. I was just looking at this one.
Yeah, I thought that when I scanned it, it would send it out in color.
Can you rotate that, man?
The good part is that they did include our annexed areas in there, which they did last time.
Well, there it is,
Yes,
that's all.
right there,
Right
right there. Uh-huh. There we go.
Yeah.
So Starcrest down here.
Yeah, but, it's in 4 now, and then all of Bloom Drive is now 2. I mean, for sure, that's how 5 changed. I don't know about
Yeah.
the other districts.
So it looks like they extended
Yeah, mine,
yours here this way.
well, I already had
Well, you
that,
already had this, but they extended it connected with all this.
and then this part, I didn't have 132. There's 132. I didn't have this part.
132's right there.
Yeah, I didn't have this part right here.
That's
That's 20, yeah.
You know, what started, where all the problems came is when Lakeshore exploded out there, and that's why that District 2 got so big, and that's why the population, District 2, as it says, had a whole lot more people.
Now it looks like they've made it even bigger.
Well, it must be based, they must have given it some open land that nobody lives on though.
Well, it's basically, I don't know if you saw this, Richie, but they got the population.
They got the population numbers.
There's 820 population in District 2, and District 1, 448, so there's gonna have to be an adjustment, they can't keep them that way. In fact, they talked about their projected deviations exceeding 10% will require redistricting.
So you mean, Tom, that map is not including the, oh, well then,
It's not, it's not.
It's not final.
He's gonna put something together to look at.
so District 2 is gonna get a lot smaller.
That would be my guess.
Yeah.
They need to balance it out.
Yeah, it has to
It'll have
balance
be
out.
balanced.
And then I'll tell you what'll happen is when the new subdivision comes in, that's gonna be a anomaly like we had over there.
Right.
We'll fix it in 10 years.
Yep, in 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
half the
how it
town lives in District 4 now.
Well, actually, we could probably.
So go
make
back to the
adjustments.
So they're gonna
Before then,
fall
Charles.
They're all gonna fall in District 4?
District 4, right?
Every new subdivision's in District 4.
Yeah, so District 4, you can have that. So District 4 right now, it's 631. Yeah, they're gonna grow real quick. Yeah. They're gonna be the big kid on the block here in the next few years. So depending on how they separate, if they do separate, that's the second largest one based on that. So. All right. Josie, I'm sorry.
That's all I just wanted them to have that.
So when is he gonna get back to the final one, then,
He didn't say.
before the next election?
Oh, I'm sure.
That's not fine. Perfect, okay. Maybe update on the tree trimming. There we go.
We're getting there slowly. Thank you, sir. Here is a list of people I sent letters to. Also includes City of Lidle's right-of-way trees. I'll get you to what they finished out here.
So you sent letters to all these folks?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Except I did not send any letters to the city, of course. And it does not include all of the trees in the right of way, city right of way, originating in the city right of way, not on private property. That's just not in there. And I did not send letters to the people along Cortez Road easement along the fence line. There's only several people there that the trees are right in the fence line. And once again, that is an easement. I don't know how we want to attack that. The trees they're small trees, mostly the street trees, going into along the right of way. The trash trees need to be trimmed. When we get to the point of having somebody trim that, I'll contact people along that route and.
I think I want to work with them closely since they are not on our right of way.
Right. And the last page, just included a few contractors that we may want to contact to look at these tree limbs that we are wanting to be trimmed.
Who was it that came, were the ones that did something free for us or something?
That was Katie.
Katie?
And then we got an estimate on that tree that they cut the branch off of. Well, one of the branches fell before they got to it, and then they cut that other branch off that goes over the road. Now, James had said that the property owner had said that he would take care of the tree if we just got rid of the branch. But I don't know if that's gonna happen. So we had asked them for an estimate. They wanted $1,600 to cut that tree down. They're not cheap.
This is KD?
KD, your neighbor.
No, they're not good.
Are you your neighbor?
Not by choice.
Okay.
I would be his neighbor by choice.
So all these people, they have to cut their own trees down?
No, I received 18 release letters back, and of those 18, there's only one that does not wish the city to cut their tree. They happen to be a pecan tree with a small pecan limb just hanging over the runway. This quarter over here off of Main Street, but actually the trees on Oak Street really isn't a big problem. It's almost,
I figured most of them were gonna give us permission to do it.
yeah, everybody except her, and then down on North Pecan Street, Martinez would like for me to notify and talk to them before we get to their trees along the right of way.
So they're all signing the letter and giving it back.
18.
Give us permission to do it.
Okay, 18 has sent it
18
back.
out of 69 or 70 letters.
I know,
Yeah,
we've got a lot of branches.
there's been branches already cut there. In fact, over here in Lionel, the very large heritage oak tree was cut at Starcross Trail and Diamond B. This past week, they trimmed all the limbs off that heritage tree there. That was on the list, and is on the list. They went ahead and took care of it. I don't recall seeing a release letter sent to us from them. And we still have a week to go for the deadline of the 30 days.
On the deadline, everything.
Last minute Lionel.
Deadline.
Well, we haven't received any more letters since the 25th, 26th of August.
So the deadline is at 20.
21st. Now, I don't know how y'all want to proceed with this.
Well, we can't take any action tonight in the sense of picking a contractor, but I think we'll probably need to have that discussion here for the next meeting. So, might be good to start getting smart, see which one for recommendations, or if you think the cost is gonna be that high, we might have to ask for bids.
I think we're gonna have to ask for bids, at least because
So, probably gonna need to go down that road.
I have a name and number for you to add to your list, Skip.
okay, get it to me. You got my telephone number?
I believe so. I can get it. I can give it to you after. Or tomorrow.
Now, there's a few more also. There's a man, that takes care of the medical center off of Priest Boulevard. He says he has several contractors in San Antonio that he was supplying me with also. So there's a few more.
Okay, thanks, Skip. Appreciate that. All right. Update on the installation of 25-mile-per-hour signs.
I was made aware the signs were in. I ain't ordered the post yet. I need to get 26 posts. And I guess we'll start by pulling the old ones and replace them right away. So I guess I just need see, next week we got meter reading. Tied up on leaks this week, so I just have to put it later for a couple of days. I'll get the post this week, and then after meter reading, we'll start pulling the old ones, put the new signs on.
So just, once again, just a reminder, take a look at those places. If we need to put the flooding signs.
Yeah.
You know, you can get the wide, put both, or as long as they have what, 7 feet clearance from the bottom, right? That's a requirement.
I'm not sure.
I think it's
I
7
thought
feet.
that's what you told me.
Yeah, it's 7 feet. The bottom of the
Yeah,
sign
it
needs
has
to
to
be
be
7
feet from the bottom.
So, okay.
Dennis, you said there's a concrete being put in?
Yes, sir. We drill a hole and put a piece of rebar in there so they don't turn.
Oh, okay.
So, and we just cut a piece about 4 inches, drill a hole about a foot from the bottom, foot down, and we pour the ready mix on there.
Is he gonna give you the spots where they need to be placed?
Well, right now, we're gonna replace the old ones, and then he's got some new spots.
We've got a drawing, and as soon as he gets ready to get the poles, I was gonna go out and just meet with them street by street, like we did when we'll just mark,
So we'll have to call for locates on new ones.
Is there any requirement that we follow guidelines on those posts? I mean, I'm thinking about breakaway.
Well, yeah, we haven't been doing that. I went to that class about 10 years ago, and those breakaways are like $125. You know, you put a 30-inch piece of pipe in the ground. It's kind of a triangle with three bolts on it. You all seen them, and it's like a 2.5-inch pipe. It sticks up out of the ground about 3 or 4 inches. Someone hits it, it just breaks. You just come back and reset it.
Now, you know, we don't, we've had signs get hit, but really speed limit
Not
signs.
speed limit signs.
That's
though.
really not one, maybe because the way they're placed, you know.
Yeah,
uh,
I
don't
was
know
gonna
about
say, I don't recall speed limit
So
signs.
the question is, are we required to put them down as breakaway? Do we have to use those type of poles?
I don't think so. I haven't seen any of, like, on the state roads, I don't see any of those in breakaways.
Some of them do, but I'm like at the intersections, you know, the big,
Yeah.
In the intersection?
but they don't have them everywhere.
I don't know. I don't know if the speed limit has anything to do with the,
Just wondering if we're required to use them, you know?
Yeah, you know, we've got the manual on uniform traffic control devices, right?
No,
You don't have it?
well, why would I
Are
have
you gonna
that?
follow it?
Huh?
I said the manual on uniform traffic control devices.
Do I do what? Do I follow it?
Aren't you the
Do we
traffic
have it?
officer?
No. How could I follow if I don't even have one?
What's online?
That's where I get it. Yeah, we look stuff up. I will be honest with you. That's a, you know, that thing's about, when it's in print, it's about that thick.
I thought you didn't know anything about it.
I knew I didn't want to read it.
It's got a lot of pictures.
A lot of pictures, yeah.
Lou, put it on the link on the computer, so it's. I'll put
Well,
it for
you
that.
know, what made me think about it was you start talking about minimum heights and stuff, where does that come in?
That's where it comes from.
That's where it comes from.
Yeah.
All that stuff comes out of that manual. So I just, you know.
The problem is, it's like the IRS code. You start looking in there and you realize how much stuff is not,
How much you're breaking the law.
how much is not in compliance. And I don't mean Lyle, Texas, I mean every city in, you know, it's just.
No, I understand. We had to, and, you know, we had a guy come to court telling us that, our speed limit sign was too low
Mm-hmm.
based upon the uniform traffic control device. And as far as enforcing whatever is on that sign, we don't have to follow the uniform traffic control device. That's just recommended, measurements, heights. But on the safety issue, I don't know. I don't know about the breakaway stuff. So I'll find out. I'll get Luke to look it up.
I brought it to council. I went to the class in Castroville and I brought it to council, and there was like, just on, North Somerset, I think there was 22 signs that you'd have to put breakaways on. And I brought it to council back then, you know, I had 125 apiece.
Okay.
It was, you know, that was a lot of money, so.
But the biggest question is whether or not, if the old ones are grandfathered, I get that, but if
Yeah.
we're required to use that,
Yeah.
then we're supposed to use them, and that's the biggest question. Now, if we have the flexibility to use whichever, then we have the flexibility, but that's the magical answer, or question is, do we have to? And if we have to, then we need to go ahead and make sure that we get the right ones.
I'd imagine it would also depend on the type of pole that you're putting in. If it's a light aluminum pole or a heavy steel pole. One is easy to bend over and break, the other one is not. Do more damage to a vehicle or a person. That might be a requirement.
They make one that's like a T-post. It's just about 2 inches and it's only 3/4 inch thick. It's mostly hollow that they, I've seen them.
So
The county uses them and they drive them in with a T-post driver.
So who's gonna look at, I mean, I really don't do anything with signs, that's public work, we don't put up signs, we don't use that traffic, that doesn't really affect what we do.
So let's do this first. Tomorrow I gotta go to Charlotte, let me talk to George over there, okay? The other public works director, remember I gave you the card? Let me talk to him, okay? He's got a lot of background, he's been around for a while. Let's see if we can get you an answer that way. If we need to look it up, we'll need to look it up, but we need to make sure that we're putting the right type of signs up there. So we'll do that.
10 o'clock.
Yep. Okay, 10 o'clock. All right, council,
I make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
okay, we got a second, okay? All those in favor? Okay. Motion carries, shows at 10 o'clock. Thank you so much, appreciate it. We'll go ahead and carry the other ones over to the next meeting.